Hello, I am Stephanie Joy, the attorney at All Things Social Security and Joy Disability Law. Your video is about to start. I just wanted to remind you that if you click the join button below, you can learn more about the memberships offered at a very affordable price that can give you a little more direct attorney answers to your questions. Have a great day and enjoy the video. Okay, so here is a question, and this is going to a California individual on AVO. I've been familiar with AVO for a really long time. She asks about, if I could just find the question. Yeah, here we go. I have been disabled and receiving SSDI for 11 years. My husband will be retiring in May of 2025. I was told when I started getting SSDI that I could not draw off his Social Security until he retires. Is this true? I am 60. He is 64. He will be 65 when he retires. Okay. So when she collected, looks like she was about 49. Of course, you can't collect off of a spouse unless unless that person is deceased and you become disabled, or you yourself are of retirement age to do so, which would be 62. Now, in this case, her husband now is filing, and she is 60. He's, mid 60s, and she wants to know if she could switch to a spousal. Well, first things first, would a spousal be more than your own? Spousal's going to be at max half of what his benefit is, right? Because spousals, that's all that is. Now, at 60, she can't collect it anyway, because you have to go to a spousal retirement, she has to be retired, right? And that would be 62. If she was 62, she could do this in theory. However, again, if the spousal benefit is going to be less than what you collect on your own record, you're probably not going to want to do it. Yeah, so it doesn't seem like it would be a smart move, right? To hop onto a spousal when you're collecting disability. Now, if you lost your disability due to whatever reason, a CDR, or you started working too much, you could at 62 collect a spousal retirement benefit. If you're dead set on doing so, if you do collect a spousal retirement benefit at 62, it's going to only be about 35% of what your spouse's amount is when they figure out the amount, because you're not waiting till full retirement age. You're choosing to take it 5 years early. That's an extra 60 payments or so. So whenever you take early, know that you're going to take a hit, right? And for SSDI, she'll be collecting that in theory, May, until she is of full retirement age herself. That would be 67. And then it will switch in name only to retirement. If at that time collecting a spousal would be better, then by all means make the switch, because at least you're going to get the full 50%. So let's say the husband's bringing in $3,500 a month, high income earner. The spousal is, all right, come on, what is it, guys? 1750, whatever 50% is. She'd be getting 1750 if she waits till 67, versus what, let's say she's collecting 1,200 on her own record. I would continue collecting unless there's other mathematical reasons not to, of course, and everyone's situation is different. But I would consider continuing to collect the 1,200. That's the maximum she can get on her record, because she got it as SSDI, which is the maximum on her own record, and then never switch to the husband's until 67. And the reason she can switch to her husband's at 67 and collect the full 50% would be because she never took early retirement. Once you take early retirement, not disability, early retirement, you now have this permanent early taking going on. Her disability has prevented that. That was the beauty of getting the SSDI to begin with, instead of having to suck up and collect at 62. because then you take that big hit for taking early. So, okay, I hope I answered that, if that's understandable. Okay, bye guys. I'll see you on the other side. Hey, so if the subject matter of the video you just listened to is of interest and you want more on it, stay tuned. Here's another one about the same topic, but a little bit different. Bye now. Hey, so with regard to a recent video share with the cautionary information that senior couples need to understand about Social Security and one benefit amount per person. So when one passes, it can be a very rude awakening to lose one of those income sources. Anyway, a really nice viewer had brought up the situation where in his late 50s and on disability, has a spouse who was not a big, not the breadwinner, I guess, during the lifetime. And oftentimes that's the case. Sometimes one is more taking care of the kids or whatever, or just disparate incomes. One might have a skilled job, one not. Anyway, the concern was, and I want to alleviate anyone who is concerned about this, because there's no need to be. He was not sure if, because he never made it to retirement, does that mean if he passes, his wife, flip the genders, it doesn't matter, folks, would not be able to get a retirement benefit off of him since he never made it to retirement? No, no, no. That is definitely not so, and no need to worry. Even if he hadn't collected disability and just passed away, she will have, generally a spousal retirement to draw off of later. Now, the fact that he, and just as an add-on here, the fact that he did collect disability and didn't just go years without income, but not filing or collecting disability, and then just later on collecting his retirement, or passing away right before retirement, he has preserved his amount. He's frozen it in time. It would not shrink due to the fact that he probably isn't going to work the last 10 years that he would have worked if he did not become disabled. You know how I've talked about this elsewhere. If we don't work our full 35 or maybe the first 10 are like minimum wage, and then we got, higher skills and higher pay, which is kind of how it's supposed to work. If we stop working for whatever reason, but including if we are disabled, but we don't file or don't prevail on a claim, we are now changing the history of our work record to be something other than what the SSA estimated when it gave you your last earning statement. So if all those years were presumed to have been continuing earning the amount of yearly earnings that you were earning this most recent year you worked, they're presuming that's going to go on until you're 62. If you don't, that whole estimate they gave you is now down the tubes. It's not going to apply because it's taking the presumption that you're going to keep working. So now that you've stopped working, it's going to change all those calculations, because those top 35 years are going to be the last, say, 10 are no longer going to be those rock star years that were worked into your calculation, because they no longer exist. They never happened. So your calculation is going to be a shrunken retirement benefit unless you file for and achieve Social Security disability. That will nip that in the bud, and those 0 years won't count. This is especially painful for someone who becomes disabled when they're young, like 30 or 40, because they don't have 35 years at all, not to mention strong years. So they literally could be seeing a povertized retirement benefit by the time they become 60, whatever, and start collecting because of that. So it's really, really important to file for Social Security disability if you become disabled and you're insured for it. And don't do that delaying business where your DLI runs out and you now have one shot at the apple, one bite of the apple, and you have to rely on old evidence from when your DLI still existed, when you were in insured status mode. You can't make up the past. You can't throw a bunch of diagnostics in there that you never did get. You can't throw in a bunch of specialist appointments that you never went to. So when you know, I'm just going to drill this home. When you know that you are, severely impaired and if you're breathing down 7, 8 months of not having work because of it, or you have to go to very part-time and you're under SGA. There are videos on SGA, but this year it's $1,550. This is 2024, $1,550 per month. That's gross before taxes and deductions. If you have dropped below that or stopped working and it's because of medical problems, and you are hopefully, robustly treating for them, taking them very seriously, you really want to confer with somebody about whether you should file. In all likelihood, you should, unless you're very sure you're going to recover. It's like a temporary thing. And there are some impairments like that. God bless, thank God. But for many, many people, that's not the case. So it never hurts to check out those options. And remember also that if you are 17 months out from what would have been your alleged onset date of disability, whether it's because you stopped working or you were working below SGA, after 17 months, if you haven't filed, you are forever giving up those back months of benefits, the original months. And every month that you continue thereafter, they're scrolling off the board of captivity also. So you snooze, you lose. Just don't do it. Just reach out, Any of us will give you our thoughts on that, I think. My colleagues, certainly myself, doesn't mean we're necessarily going to take your case, but, it's very easy to get an evaluation and even if someone doesn't take your case, it's not necessarily because that doesn't mean you shouldn't file. It just means that they don't have the space for perhaps your vocational profile, perhaps they're full, that compartment is full, and they try to keep a balance, whatever the case may be. But don't snooze, okay? All right, bye now. Whoops.